Our next speaker has a professional experience of 21 years across various automobile and training industries. He is a mechanical engineer, a psychologist, and an instructional designer, a rare combination of subjects, one that calls for the left and the right brain balance. Having keen interest in development of people, he has been conducting various self-development sessions for the last 16 years on subjects related to personal re-engineering and sanskar transformation. He is presently working on a project on the effect of a short version of Raj Yoga meditation on the emotional well-being of people in high-stress areas. Ladies and gentlemen, the non-technical training head at the Volkswagen Group in India. Please put your hands together for Mr. Mukul Chowdhury.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, it's my pleasure to be here with all of you. And I will take you through a small presentation, of course, using PPT. In fact, I'm not that blessed like Professor Pant. So I would take a little bit aid of the PPT to help ourselves use both audio as well as visuals. The area which I would be focusing primarily is what is the scenario today in the corporate industry, primarily towards the larger brands related to manufacturing and specifically to the auto industry in terms of image consultation, and of course related to that examples of applications of image consultation in the business, sales, after sales areas, the challenges which some of you have already shared in terms of individual image consulting as well as the institutional image consulting, and the specific challenges which are there when you work with corporates in terms of image consultation, and of course a few new thoughts because I do a lot of psychological related assignments. So a few thoughts on what can be done more into the areas of image consultation, and of course expanding the pond in the Indian context, and it's a green field now basically for India. In fact, the business, the way it is growing, the two countries that are very distinctly coming up in all the fields of business is China and India. So these are the two happening places, and most of the things in future would be happening in these two areas in terms of business, in terms of volume. Incidentally, both of these countries are highly populated, so we have a huge scope towards this. It's left on us as how we tap the opportunity. Now coming to the scenario in a typical manufacturing firm, out of the total employees engaged into the activity, for example, here it is shown as an example of about 5,000 people engaged in a manufacturing industry, about 10% of the employees need to actually interact with customers, the front end. And out of this 10%, not all 10% are subjected to any form of training. It's about 5 to 6% of the people who are recommended or who are identified. The training need identification is done that they need some form of training. So this is typically the scope. So if you come to know about the organization size, you can take 5% would be the maximum scope that is possible initially. Unless otherwise we are working at the worker level, it may be a piecemeal work then, but not a complete image consultant scope. Piecemeal work in terms of dressing, or it could be in terms of just grooming, or maybe he is going to an overseas assignment. It could be in terms of cultural integration. There could be some specific ones, but complete scope is about 5 to 6% of the total organization size. When does manufacturing industry people think of grooming and etiquette for their employees? There are two occasions where we focus. The first occasion is, of course, if there is a startup of business in the area where the brand is very conscious about its image, or the brand has undergone a difficult time and it wants to restore its image in a new way. So that is the first option, which is a purely top-down approach from the management. how they want to position the brand, including the brand styling, including the tagline, and including the image consultation. But the second area is, of course, the different types of customer feedbacks, customer satisfaction surveys, partner satisfaction survey. That means the business partner, the channel partner, the retailer, the distributor satisfaction survey, and this area plays a very important role for the image consultants to tap, which means, of course, the companies usually won't share with you what has happened, but if we are able to get this information a priori, we can approach and position our image products in a manner which suits the corporate, and you can tap the business. Let's see a few examples. Now, being from the auto field, I would give a couple of examples which you would be able to correlate also easily. See, in India, next to owning a house, the biggest investment that we make is for purchasing a car and buying a vehicle for the family. It could even be a two-wheeler also, depending on the SES, socio-economic status. But when we do that, the process of owning the car, that is the delivery of the car, is a ceremonial delivery which is done, and most of you have got experience to this. Now, typically in the Indian ceremonial delivery, we have a different scenario, and it's so varying from a lower brand, lower cost brand to a higher cost brand. For example, if it is a simple baseline car like a Maruti or maybe a less costly car, maybe I would say up to 5 to 7 lakh bracket INR car. So the whole family would come there to take the vehicle delivery. They will have lot of zeal, lot of enthusiasm, because they are the first owning the first car. So it's a first car owning experience, and the family expects the dealer, the distributor, to also show equal empathy, equal enthusiasm towards the delivery process. But to the seller, to the person, to the staff who is there, it's one more car delivery. Okay, he or she may be following the script in toto, welcome, congratulations, but then the word is not filled with energy, the expressions are not matching that, and it's a repetition of one more car sales. Now, this is a challenge which the industry is facing, and I have been searching for the answer as to how to energize these people. In fact, training is inadequate. What is the way out? So I will also touch to these areas. Similar way, in the Indian tradition, madam, you should visit any of the Indian households to see a person parting off. And in the Indian culture, we wait till the person goes till a long distance and vanishes from the sight. Till that time, we wait and wave. And it's a unique experience, and every Indians have it in the DNA, absolutely in the DNA. We all have that. But why we can't demonstrate it when it comes to profession? Why we can't demonstrate a good see-off to our customer? In spite of being taught, do the see-off in this way, wait, because we have done a small study where we find that a customer, you just think of yourself when you have taken the car to your dealership, and when you leave the dealership, you invariably will be looking back at your rear view mirror once to see the person whether he is standing or not. It's a very subconscious instinct act. And then when you find that the person who was seeing you off, he has just turned and gone back to his work, then you feel, oh, he doesn't care for me. Probably you don't register it, but definitely it is registered somewhere, not consciously you register, but you register it in the subconscious. Would you expect your relative who has come to you, or you have gone to the home of your relative and you depart from there, how long does your relative wait and just waves you? Don't you expect this? So, and all Indians are trained into that. From their childhood, they have seen that. But why don't they demonstrate that in their work? Also, sometimes we find that as professionals, we are very courteous, we are very update, we are very, I would say, we demonstrate the human touch part of it. But when we are talking among ourselves, when the client is not there, that time we have a different picture altogether. But friends, the client is always seeing you. Be you interacting with him as an individual, or you are talking somewhere side there, he doesn't care. If you are traveling in the aircraft and you are in the 30th row, the type of discussions, the type of frustrations which the two air hostesses may be sharing behind, "Arey yaar," sorry to use Hindi, but and the language that they use sometimes may be not so pleasant to you. So what is the impression that gets created? Because perception, we work in an industry which is completely on perception. And friends, within this room, we all agree that perception is reality, because that is what we are managing. And hence, these are some of the very unique examples which are being worked on, and it's a challenge as such. Typically, when an individual approaches you, or you do the image consultation to an individual, there are few separate sets of requirements. First of all, the requirement is clear to you, why this individual has come to me. Like madam was sharing, just the previous speaker was sharing, that the reporter has come because his mom wanted to get a little bit softer. So the objective is very clear, and they are self-motivated usually because they are paying the fees. The decisions are faster and acceptance is better. As compared to this, in the institutional context, the objective is not clear, because you have 20 people sitting in front of you. Some of them are highly enthusiastic, others are staring at you, do I really need image consultation? Or he or she is trying to gauge your image and trying to find out, hey, I look more beautiful. So probably I doubt whether this image consultant would be able to work out something better out of me or not, right? So, and also some of them may not have any requirement at all. It is because his boss has asked him or asked her to participate into this, he or she is forced into the session. And in the same way, it's more of a conformity and compliance exercise rather than a conscious willingness to undergo the image enhancement process. And hence, the dropouts are at times much higher in the corporates in terms of the implementation part.